Hey everyone, I am Jericho De Laureta from Bachelor of Elementary Education Department course. My report is about main characteristics of culture. So, we have 7 examples of characteristics of culture. First, culture is social because it is the product of behavior. So, culture does not exist in isolation. It is a product of society. It develops through social interaction. No man can acquire culture without association with others. Second, culture varies from society to society. So, every society has a culture of its own that differs from other societies. Culture of every society is unique by itself. Cultures are not uniform. Cultures elements like costumes, tradition, morals, values, and beliefs are not constant. Third, culture is shared. So, culture is not something that an individual alone can possess. Culture, in sociological sense, is shared. For example, people of a society share all costumes, traditions, beliefs, ideas, values, morals, and etc. Fourth, culture is learned. So, culture is not inborn. It is learned, unlearned behavior, then is not culture, shaking hands, wearing things, etc. Our cultural behaviors that our behaviors are learned, but most of them can be standing in line, telling jokes, criticizing the president, and belonging to movies or confused issued behaviors that need to be learned. Fifth, culture is transmitted among members of society. So, cultural ways are learned by people from others. Many of these ways are handed down from elders, parents, teachers, and others, most likely individuals of older generation, while other cultural behaviors are handed up to elders. Transmission of culture is made possible by language. Language is the main vehicle of culture. Transmission of culture may take place also through imitation as well as through instruction. So next, culture is continuous and cumulative. So culture exists as a continuous process. In its historical growth, it tends to become cumulative. Roughly culture, social heritage of man. No culture ever remains constant or permanent. It is subject to slow but constant variation. Likewise, culture is responsive to the changing conditions of the physical world. Hence, it is dynamic. And the last is, culture is gratifying and idealistic. So, culture provides proper opportunities for the satisfaction of our needs and desires. Our needs, both biological and social, are fulfilled in cultural ways. Culture consists of the intellectual, artistic, and social ideals and institutions where members of the society profess and strive to contain.
My name is Leonard M. Makalindong, and my topic report is Elementary Concept of Cultures. Elementary Concept of Culture. The first one is cultural trait. Cultural traits are things that allow for a part of one culture to be transmitted to another. Cultural traits also allow for tradition to arise, which are patterned and long-lasting ways to doing things. Cultural traits need to be static. If they combine with other cultural traits, they may change. And the most important culture trait is language, because language is the most important symbolic component of culture. Culture is integrated. This is known as holism, or the various parts of cultural being interconnected. All aspects of culture are related to one another and to truly understand a culture, one must learn about all of its parts, not only a few. And I have some example of culture traits. Culture traits are things that allow one part of a culture to be transmitted to another. For example, the famous football chant of "Ole, ole, ole, ole" likely arose in Spain but has since become a cultural trait of many soccer fans around the world. The second one is cultural complex. Cultural complex is the distinctive pattern of activities, beliefs, rites, and tradition associated with one central feature of life in particular culture. Example of cultural complex is a number of traits when organized together make a culture complex, like a watch football match, attitudes and actions, prayer, Hajj, AIDS, agriculture system, market system, a political party, a constitution, and industrial unit. All of these are examination system are the example of cultural complex. The third one is cultural pattern. Cultural patterns are the similar behaviors within similar situation we witness due to shared beliefs, values, norms, and social practices that are steadily over time. I have here the importance of cultural patterns. Cultural exchange helps students to develop positive relationship with others, understand a broader range or perspective, and develop the knowledge and skills needed for participation in our multicultural society. The next one is cultural lag. Cultural lag is a relatively slower advance or change of one aspect of a cultural, especially the slower development of non-material as constructed with material or technological culture traits. And some example of cultural lag is life support. Medical technology is now being used to keep people's bodies functioning long after they would otherwise have been declared dead. This raises cultural and ethical questions about when life ends and who has the right to end artificial life support for too prolonged existence. And the last one is cultural diversity. Cultural diversity is the existence of a variety of cultural groups within a society. Cultural groups can share many different characteristics. So, what are some examples of cultural diversity? Cultural diversity looks like this in a workplace. Having a multilingual team, having a diverse range of age working together, and having a policies that are vocally against discrimination, and etc.
Good day, I'm Mariela G. Portera from BEd 2. Today, I will discuss my topic about culture and cultural elements of Philippine communities. First, what is culture? Culture is a full range of learned human behavior patterns and a complex whole which includes knowledge, belief, art, law, morals, customs, and any other capabilities and habits acquired by man as a member of a society. What constitutes the cultural system of a society? So, it is the interaction of different elements of culture. First is the material culture. It refers to the physical tools, objects, resources, and spaces that people use to define their culture. Second is the non-material culture. It is a non-physical ideas that people have about their culture, including beliefs, values, rules, norms, morals, language, organizations, and institutions. A communication component such as symbol and language is the behavioral component such as norms, mores, laws, and rituals. And lastly, cognitive component such as ideas, knowledge, belief, and value. Next is the character, state, major problems and challenges of the Philippine cultural system. The Philippines is innately rich in culture. However, the nation has been suffering with a disease that is an absence of a strong and sovereign national culture. Since the 19th century, when Western invasion was at its peak. For the most, the country has been trapped between local tradition and modernization since then. Philippine tribes have retained some of the older traditions of oral storytelling and art forms such as rattan weaving, wood carving, and textile weaving. Filipino music has synthesized the best of each Spanish and American past. Although unique folk dances such as tinikling and singkil continue to be popular. Damaged Culture, A New Philippines by James Fallows. On Filipino friendships, total devotion to those within the circle, total war on those outside. Practically, everything that is public in the Philippines seems neglected or abused. Tradition of political corruption and cronyism, extremes of wealth and poverty, tribal fragmentation. The situation of the Philippines is not too different from that of other countries in Southeast Asia. It is confronted by many socio-cultural challenges such as rapid population growth, poverty, ethnic and religious conflicts, and other social problems. First is the Filipino diaspora. Many Filipinos become ashamed of being Filipinos and tend to think that the culture of foreigners is more superior to their own. Second is the cultural landscape. Various ethnicities, languages, and dialects have emerged in different parts of the country. Linguistic difference is the primary criterion for ethnic identity. Third is the product of history. The distinction between the ethnic majority and the ethnic minority is a product of the Philippines' colonial past. And lastly, overpopulation and poverty, traced back to the elite-dominated power structure compounded by the lack of economic planning and political foresight. Key factors condition responsible for the current character state of the country's cultural system. Colonization. Spaniards and Americans greatly influenced the current character of our country's cultural system.
Hi everyone, I'm Angel Rainier from BEd 2 and my topic is all about role of education and school in the protection and transmission of culture. This is the important function of education to help in the preservation of culture or social heritage. Education through its specialized agencies tries to inoculate the traditions, customs, values, arts, morals, etc. in the tender mind of pupils. So, sinasabi sa role of education and school in the protection and transmission of culture is mahalagang tungkulin ng edukasyon at ng paaralan ay ang maituro ng tamaang tradisyon, kaugalian, pagpapahalaga, sining at moral sa kaisipan ng mga kabataan. So, lahat ng ito ay makukuha natin sa paaralan. Sila isa sa tutulong sa atin para malaman natin yung kahalagaan ng tradisyon at ng pagpapasa-pasa nito sa bawat henerasyon. What is transmission of culture? Cultural transmission is the process through which cultural elements in the form of attitudes, values, beliefs, and behavioral scripts are passed on to individuals and groups. So what is transmission of culture? So pag sinabi natin ng transmission of culture, ito ay ang proseso kung saan pinapasa-pasa natin sa bawat henerasyon ang pag-uugali, paniniwala at ang pagpapahalaga.
Good day everyone, I am Leia May B. Banswala and my report is Impact of Media on School and Culture. So, impact of media on school and culture. So what is media? Media is any medium through which any sort of information reach the people. So we have print media, audio media, and audio-video media. So in print media, we have newspaper, magazine. And audio media, we have radio. And audio-video media, we have television and internet. So this is everyday media is integral part of modern society. So we have function of media to inform, to educate, to entertain, mirror of society, and transparency. Okay, to inform is people come to know what, when, where, who, why, and how the things are happening. So next, to educate. So media educates people by giving information about food, health, employment, agriculture, technology, modernization, and etc. So to entertain, we have movies, serial, animation, music, and etc. So mirror of society helps keeping things in control, show people what they actually do and what they must do. So next, transparency. So media has helped to make the working of a nation extremely transparent. So common man can air his grievance without any problem through the social media, so that the higher authorities of the ruling class can take action for their goods. Okay, next, impact of media on school and culture. So, in the last 50 years, media influence has grown exponentially with time. First, there was the telegraph, then the radio, the newspaper, magazine, television, and now the internet. Next, the media boom has also brought a revolutionary change in the morals and ethics of society. The media has a huge impact on society and also on public opinion. Next, they can shape the public opinion in different ways depending on what is the objective. We make our buying decision based on the adverts we see on different avenues of media such as TV, newspaper, and magazine. Next, the media can sometimes go out of the way in advertising or glorifying certain issue. So let's move to impact of media on culture. So media provide news and information required by the people. So next, media can educate the public. Media helps a democracy function effectively. They inform the public about government policies and program and how this program can be useful to them. So this helps the people voice their feelings and help the government to make necessary changes in their policies and program. So next, media can entertain people. Media can act as an agent of change in development. Media has brought people of the world closer to each other. Media promote trade and industry through advertisements. And the last, media can help the political and democratic processes of a country. So, on impact of media on culture is, ang media ay nagbibigay ng balita at impormasyon kailangan nating mga tao. At ipinapaalam nila sa publiko ang tungkol sa patakaran at programa ng mga pamahalaan kung paano maaaring maging pakipakinabang sa kanila ang mga nakaprogramang ito. At ang media ay nagtataguyod ng kalakalan at industriya sa pamamagitan ng palatastas. Okay, impact of media on education. 4 out of 5 professions in U.S. colleges and universities use social platform to teach their students. Next, in some cases, media has allowed students to increase grades by 50% and has dropped the overall number of absent students. Next, 59% of students report that they use social networking site to discuss education topics and 50% use the site to talk about school assignment. Okay, now let's move to the negative impact. So, many students rely on the accessibility of information on social media, especially and the web in general to provide answer. That means a reduced focus on learning and retaining information. So, number 2, students who attempt to multitask checking social media site while studying show reduced academic performance. So, their ability to concentrate on the task in hand is significantly reduced by the distraction that are brought about by YouTube, Facebook, or Twitter. So, next, number 3, the more time students spend on social site, the less time they spend socializing in person. because of the lack of body signal and other nonverbal cues, like tone and inflection. Social networking sites are not an adequate replacement for face-to-face communication. Students who spend a great deal of time on social networking are less able to effectively communicate in person. So next, number 4, the popularity of social media and the speed at which information is published has created a lax attitude towards proper spelling and grammar. Next, number 5, the degree to which private information is available online and the anonymity the internet seems to provide has made students forget the needs to filter the information they post. So, the negative impact is maraming estudyante ang umaasa daw sa accessibility ng informasyon sa social media. So, particular na dyan sa web, sa pangkalahatan upang magbigay ng mga sagot. So, nangangahulugan iyon ng pinababang pagtuon sa pag-aaral at pagpapanatili ng impormasyon. So, ang mga mag-aaral na nagtatangkang mag-multitask, tumitingin sa mga social media site habang nag-aaral ay nagpapakita ng pinababang pagganap sa pag-aaral. And now, the positive impact. So, number 1 is social networking has increased the rate and quality of collaboration for students. Number 2, social networking teaches students skills they'll need to survive in the business world. Number 3, by spending so much time working with new technologies, students develop for more familiarity with computers and other electronic devices. So number 4, the ease with which a student can customize their profile makes them more aware of basic aspects of design and layout that are not often taught in school. So, for positive impact, ang social networking ay nagpapataas ng rate at kalidad ng pakikipagtulungan para sa mga mag-aaral, okay? Ang social networking ay nagtuturo din sa mga estudyante na mga kasanayan na kinakailangan nila upang mabuhay. So, balang araw, pag nagnegosyo sila, so alam nila kung paano gamitin yung ating media. So, sa pamamagitan ng paggugol ng napakaraming oras sa pagtatrabaho sa mga bagong teknolohiya, ang mga mag-aaral ay nagiging mas pamilyar sa paggamit ng computer at iba pang mga elektronikong aparato. Sa kadalian ng pag-customize ng isang mag-aaral sa kanilang profile ay nagpapaalam sa kanila sa pangunahing aspeto ng disenyo at layout na hindi kadalasang itinuturo sa school. And lastly, positive media's impact of media on school. Pope Francis said the digital world can be an area rich in humanity. It can be a network of people and no wires. This is something very sweet, a blessing from heaven. Media's positive effect on education can be analyzed according to media from such as print, radio, television, computers, internet, mobiles, and others.
As of now that we have a pandemic, technology has the big role on school because students can study and learn through the use of technology like laptop or cell phones. Teacher can teach or communicate with her students without interruptions. Teacher can able to give assignments, activity, or quizzes through online apps like Google Classroom or in Messenger. And also student can easily do or submit their activities. If technology have a positive impact on our school, but opposite when it comes on our culture, because students are prone on plagiarism, their assignments are all copy-paste by the internet. Students did not interact with other students. they're just focusing on online games or other apps.
Impact of education on society. Education is a weapon to improve one's life. It is probably the most important tool to change one's life. Education for a child begins at home. It is a lifelong process that ends with death. Education determines the quality of an individual's life. It improves one's knowledge, skills, and develops the personality and attitude. Education has a massive impact on society because it helps people become a better citizens, get a better paid job, and shows the difference between good and bad. Education shows us the importance of hard work and at the same time help us grow and develop. Thus, we are able to shape a better society to live in by knowing, respecting rights, laws, and regulations. Better education systems lead to improve the societies, and better society improve the education. In general, the education has many benefits to the individual and the society, and these benefits are different and not just about job and income.